We are back. Revinyl once again.
You can't
Lots to talk about.
You can't stop us,
Yeah,
man. You just can't do it.
no, we can't be stopped. Craig,
or is it more of a case we can't stop ourselves?
yeah, that's probably it. I am wearing my Atlanta Braves hat. Got All-Star Weekend in Atlanta this weekend,
We
right?
do.
We've
Yeah.
got all the festivities of the celebrity softball game and all that, then the home run derby on Monday night and the All-Star game on Tuesday. And for those outside of the U.S. who could care less about baseball, they are probably saying, okay, let's move this thing along. But I'm excited about it. It's a fun weekend as a baseball fan. So I'm wearing my Braves hat. So there you go. Going to try to make it down there for
Old
some
school
of it
A
this
too. I
weekend.
like that.
Yeah, old school A. Yeah, exactly. Okay, man. I mean, I get FOMO sometimes about concerts, but not terribly. But I got to tell you, all the stuff on Instagram for the Oasis shows in Cardiff last weekend had me just in absolute FOMO mode. I wanted to be there so badly. It looked so incredible. They sounded incredible from what I heard.
Yeah, it said they were everything I've heard. I haven't seen anything, so I can't attest one way or the other. But from what I've heard on other podcasts, from what I've read, it was electric. And I actually heard today, this morning, that apparently it seemed like Noel was actually getting a little emotional, which is very interesting, shocking. So that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I don't know, maybe it's like a lot of bands and even whether it's when you're on a big stage, whether you're an artist or you're in a band, and I wonder you there's such a high with that, right? Just going on stage. If you're a musician and you're playing in front of tons of people and they're adoring fans and they love you, and then you don't do that for a while and then you come back, it's got to be such an emotional feeling. I don't care how cool you think you are,
Right.
because when you started, you did it for that. Yeah, it's why I'm aggravated sometimes by celebrities that go, "Oh, I don't want any attention." Come on. I mean, you, especially if you're a performer on a stage in a band, there's some element of you wanted some type of adoration or attention, or you wouldn't have done it in front of people in the first place. You just stayed in your basement.
Well, I mean, both those guys, like, look, they both went and moved on to something else. You had Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds, which may still be a thing. I'm sure they're still doing stuff, and they toured a
Yeah.
good bit. And then it seemed like he was doing BDI for a while, and I don't know what he's doing more recently, but it sounds like they were still very active and still pretty popular in the UK, but not like Oasis. And I think for Noel, it was probably a culmination of like, I can't believe we're actually doing this again. Uh, and then just seeing the intensity ratchet up that much, because no matter what you do, if Paul McCartney was to tour on his own and John Lennon was to tour on his own and whomever, it's not the same. It's not the Beatles. It's not the
No.
Stones. It's not Oasis. So I just think it's cool. I think it also shows that maybe he softened a little bit, which to me is cool. The sibling rivalries. We've already talked about it. We've talked about
It's real.
we've talked about dedicating a podcast to it for like the Black Crows and a variation of bands. And I'd say I think it's cool. The one thing I heard that I think I'd love to get your take on it. The same podcast I was listening to that mentioned, him getting emotional was talking about some of the places that they're looking to book in the United States are probably bigger than what they could fill in the United States. Like they could fill
Yeah.
whatever Coliseum, whatever, you name it. They could pick the biggest plot of land in the UK and they would fill it. I mean,
Right.
they could fill
Nebworth.
Glastonbury on their own for an entire week.
Yep. Yep.
Here, maybe not so much. And I don't know. I don't know if I necessarily agree with that assessment, but they're talking about where they're playing in LA and other places seem to be larger than what they could probably fill capacity wise, which to me kind of excites me because that means maybe I'll be able to get tickets.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I guess Well, you think about Nebworth. They did 2 days in Nebworth, what, in the 96, I think it was, and they sold 250,000 tickets for the 2 days. So I guess 125,000
Right.
per day, which is just incredible.
Yep.
But it's one of the things I actually like about Oasis. They are British through and through.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Unapologetically British,
Yep.
almost to the point of they kind of, and I'm an American through and through. They kind of trash American bands and the whole. They're 100% British, and
Yep.
I think that's cool actually. Because that is who they are. They're not trying to be. They're pretty authentic, I think,
Yep.
and so I wonder. They're just never going to be as big, obviously, in the U.S. as they are in the UK. And so, to your point, but at the same time, they're a massive arena band. They couldn't come here and play a 5,000 seat arena, so they got to play the big ones. That's what their sound is
Mm-hmm.
for.
Yep.
But yeah, can they sell out those big arenas? Because they're not going to sell as many tickets in the U.S. Maybe New York. I don't know. I haven't looked
That's
at the ticket
that's kind of what they
sales,
were
but
saying. New York, Boston, maybe LA,
yeah,
stuff like that. But when
Chicago,
you start getting into Minneapolis, or you start getting
right?
into some of the no knock on Minneapolis, but some of the cities that don't have quite that musical
Atlanta,
pedigree. Atlanta will definitely be one of those that does not rank with New York, Chicago, Boston.
nope.
Yep,
I
absolutely.
mean, Atlanta has a great music history, music town, but it's a weird, you know this. Atlanta is hip hop and country right now
Yeah.
more than anything else.
Yep.
And you see a lot of bands skipping Atlanta these days, which is frustrating for me and you, even still being not, you're not in Atlanta anymore, but still being close to Atlanta. A lot of bands skip it. It's just an interesting, but yeah, New York, Boston, Chicago, it's going to be fascinating. I want to go so badly. I really do. I want to be a part of it. I watched those videos this past weekend and really want to be a part of it. And we'll move on, but
Cool.
it makes me think about all the other bands, and I saw some different interviews with Liam and Noel, and they're talking about other bands that they'd like to see get back together, like the Verve. You know, Richard Ashcroft opened up those shows
Yeah. Yeah.
in
He's got a new
Wales.
album coming out too. I'm interested. I meant to tell you,
Man,
sidebar, I went back and that album, Alone Together or whatever his
Alone
first
with Everybody.
Alone with
I think it's
Everybody.
Alone with Everybody.
That popped up in a shuffle and decided to play it. And man, it to me resonated more now than it did when I first listened to it. It's a good album.
I I love it. The only song I don't like is the one where he's clearly sort of that song New York to me sounds like he's trying to get a hit,
Yeah,
but the
I still
rest of
like
the
it though.
album,
Yeah.
yeah, he's awesome. I love him. I'm so glad to see him opening up for Oasis, and hopefully it's going to put some pressure on maybe getting the Verve back together. Stone Roses,
Yep.
that's one that they mentioned getting back together. There's so many bands, and we could talk. We could probably do an entire podcast, and maybe we will, on bands that we'd like to see get back together. Okay. Oh, by the way, Paul McCartney announcing tour dates is
So,
another
I,
big piece of news. And
I saw
I'd
that.
never seen him. Have you seen him before?
Have not. Have not.
I gotta see him. I mean, I gotta see him live. I have to at some point. Okay. I'm going to do a 1 through 10
Okay.
and then either or for you. And then we're going to jump into what we're going to do today is recommended if you like from the artists that we did last week, where we picked one random song, or not random song, sorry, one deep cut or unknown song. We're going to take those same artists and do a recommended if you like. But Craig really put me on the hot seat last week, way more aggressive than mine. I took it pretty easy on Craig, and I realize that now. So I'm trying to get tougher with my.
Uh-oh.
My either ors are going to be a little tougher this time, I think. Okay,
Okay.
here we go. 1 through 10. Brad Pitt. He's got a new movie out. Everybody's talking about it. And I'm not talking about how handsome you think he is, because he's very, very handsome.
Oh, he's
I'm
gorgeous.
talking, what do you think about him as an actor on a scale of 1 to 10?
I mean, I got to go 10, man. I love that dude. It pretty much any movie he's in, I'm there. Yep.
Yeah, he had that turning point. There's a couple of actors out there Tom Cruise, Matthew McConaughey, Brad Pitt, where you see him in those first couple of movies and you go, okay, is he just another good looking guy getting on camera because he's a good looking guy, or is he really a great actor? For me, Tom Cruise, Born on the 4th of July, is when I went, okay, he's legitimate.
Yep.
For Brad Pitt, it was Fight Club for me.
Right. Yep.
Where I went, oh yeah. Matthew McConaughey was Dallas Buyers Club.
Man, that's so good. Yep.
That movie, depressing, yes. It didn't really. I like more action oriented or comedies. That movie really isn't. But when I saw it, I thought amazing, unbelievable. Everybody should see that movie. And if you doubt Matthew McConaughey's talent, go watch that movie.
Absolutely, agreed.
Okay, the Eagles, the band.
6.
That hurts. Okay, I'm moving on. Okay, doo-wop music.
Oh,
the genre.
To be honest, I'm going to go a solid 7. I should probably go higher than that, but I just don't listen to enough of it. I like it when I hear it, but I don't seek it out. So we'll say that.
When it's well done, it's really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
It's also, I have to say, I love old music, but some of it does sound dated when you listen to it now.
Yeah. But like you said, sometimes when it hits, though, it's so nice. Yeah.
So good. Vanilla Ice Cream.
7.
Okay. Robert Plant Solo.
Oh, very underrated. I'm going to go 8. Very underrated.
Yeah. His early solo stuff for me.
So good.
Phenomenal.
So
Principle
good.
of Moment.
Shaken Not Stirred. Principle.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I even love Manic Nirvana too. I love that album.
Oh, yeah. His greatest hits collection because I don't listen to his solo albums all the time, but that greatest hits collection,
yeah,
it's really good. I mean, he has written a lot of great songs. That's another podcast for another day. I'm going to have to start writing it down, like you've said to me before. But our favorite greatest hits compilation albums, because there's some out there, and I think Robert Plant's solo stuff is a great example of
absolutely.
that.
I'll hold my tongue here. I've got like 5 of them I want to spit up. But
yeah, me too.
I'll save that for later.
Okay, the band Journey.
I always liked Journey. Don't love them. I know that Kevin is a huge fan. Man, I hate to keep going with the same number, but I'm going to 7. I mean, great rock band, just not somebody I seek out that often. But if you play it, I'm listening. So yeah,
that's another greatest hits package. I'm probably giving away one of mine, but that would be their greatest hits compilation. Unreal.
Absolutely. Yep.
Okay, Exile on Main Street.
Oh man, 10. Okay. Hell, 15.
10,000.
You're right.
All right. Graham Parsons.
Oh, 8.5.
All right.
8.5.
Merle Haggard.
Oh, I don't listen to Merle Haggard nearly enough, but I'm going to go with the same score. I'm going to go with 8.5. If I was more in tune with him like you are, he would be well above a 10. I just know it.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
No. Yep.
That'd be my answer.
Yeah.
All right. Last one. 70s arena rock.
Oh, very underrated, very underappreciated now. Maybe kind of seems a little cheesy, but I'm sorry, I got to go 8.
Yeah.
Most of these were good.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm with you on the arena rock. I think it gets it's a little maligned, if that's the right word now, and doesn't seem so cool. But man, there were so many good bands in the 70s and it's hard to say. It's kind of like calling yacht rock. I mean, it's hard, what's arena rock and what's not, but those bands like Boston that were, Styx, it's fun to go back and listen to those bands. And I don't love every song by them, but
so my score is predicated on seeing it live in an arena as opposed to listening to it on the record. Because when you go to a show like that, I feel like as cheesy as you might think it is when you're around other people and you're not there, when you're there, you're bobbing your head. You're into it, right?
Oh yeah. Next day you can't talk. You sang your heart out all night.
100%.
Okay.
Yep.
Either or,
Okay.
Mississippi Delta or Chicago Blues.
Oh man. All right.
Yep, I'm coming at
You
you.
know, look, I love Mississippi Delta stuff. I probably lean more towards that more often than I do Chicago now, but I'm rooted blues wise. My introduction and my true love is Chicago, so I got to go Chicago. That's brutal.
All right. Jeff Beck or Eric Clapton?
I got to go Clapton.
Okay.
I think Beck's a better
Oh,
guitarist for sure.
I was listening to one of his mid 80s, Jeff Beck mid 80s albums.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is his songwriting was just never strong enough. Like Clapton's songwriting on his solo records, so many
So much better.
memorable, great songs. And Jeff Beck, his songs just weren't as strong, but my gosh, his guitar. I was listening to the album, and just when he breaks off into a solo, it doesn't matter if the song isn't very good.
Yeah.
The guitar solos and the sound that
For
Jeff
me,
Beck
I tell
creates.
people all the time there's one Jeff Beck album you have to own, and that's Beckola. I mean, it's like listening to a Faces album. I love that album. So,
Yeah. Yeah, when he surrounded him, he should have. It's weird to me that Jeff Beck didn't do a better job of either joining a band that already was established
right.
or surrounding himself more like he did in the 70s when he had Rod Stewart singing with him. That was a force to be reckoned with. And people that are younger that may not know much, to your point, I mean, Jeff Beck, when he had the right personnel,
Oh my
he
God.
always had the right musicians around him, but he needed a lead singer. He needed a
Absolutely. Yep.
Rod Stewart. What if Jeff Beck, I don't think this ever happened. What if Jeff Beck and Paul Rogers would have
Oh, can you
started a
imagine?
band?
Well, start writing these things down, man. This is another
Mhm.
episode. We need to come up
Yeah.
with our top five. If we could go back in time and see a band live, what would those top five bands be? And I'm telling you, Faces would be in that 100% live. It doesn't get any better than
100,000%.
that. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. If you could have, and for those that don't know, you had Rod Stewart on lead vocals, you had Ronnie Wood pre Rolling Stones on guitar, you
Yeah.
had Kenny Jones pre Who on drums, you had Ronnie Lane on bass,
Ronnie Lane.
Ian, is it McClagan or McLagan? I guess it's McLagan, who was
McLaughlin, I think.
McLagan, okay, who was the Stones keyboard player for years.
Yep.
I mean, they were a they were a I guess you would call them a pre-super group because at the time only Rod Stewart was probably
No.
well known out of
Yeah.
that bunch,
Absolutely.
but
Yeah.
they were a pre-super group. They all went on and did great things. Okay, next up, because I had this in my head already. Paul Rogers or Paul Carrick?
Oh man. Oh, that's tough. I'll be honest, I'm not a huge fan of either one of them, but we're talking about two of the best vocalists, period.
Yeah.
I got to go with Paul Rogers, but that's tough, man, because I was literally just humming along to a Paul Carrick song earlier today. I got to go
Don't
Paul
Shed a
Rogers.
Tear. I
Yeah.
bet it was it Don't Shed a Tear. That's
Oh
such a
my
great
gosh,
song.
that guy was just butter. Yeah.
We'll have to talk about this later too, but the more I separate myself from when it was in our ears all the time, Bad Company, they were really good in the beginning. Their
Excellent.
their first couple of records, I think they get overlooked now. So good. Okay.
There's one flip the script. There's one I could do without their greatest hits. I don't need to hear their greatest hits. I want to hear those
Yeah.
earlier albums, like you said, because when I listen to that second album, and it escapes me at the moment what it's called, I was floored. I was like, this band they were a lot grittier than what we were hearing in the '70s on the radio.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's the thing. Yeah, we don't need a Steve Miller band greatest hits. I'd rather listen to Steve Miller albums because I know all those greatest hits. I'm
Right,
bored with a lot of those songs. It's the other stuff that I love so much.
right.
David Lee Roth or Sammy Hagar?
I got to go David Lee. Well,
Okay. In the context of Van Halen too, not their solo
oh,
stuff, but
okay, yeah.
purely as the
I
frontman.
I would say David Lee Roth. Yeah,
Okay. Led Zeppelin 2 or Led Zeppelin 4?
two.
Okay. Jurassic Park or Raiders of the Lost Ark in terms of the series?
Ooh, I got to go Raiders all the
Yeah.
way, man.
So good. Yeah.
So good.
All right. I talked about him earlier. Brad Pitt or Matthew McConaughey? as an actor, not as their handsomeness.
I gotta go with Brad Pitt again. I like Matthew McConaughey, but like I said, if Brad Pitt is in a movie, I am watching it.
Okay. Liam or Noel Gallagher?
Oh man,
Ooh.
I I literally have to flip a coin on it. I'm just gonna Liam. I'm just gonna flip a coin.
Okay.
Yeah.
And not talking about who would you more likely gravitate towards if you were going to hang out? It'd probably be Noel,
No,
right?
for sure.
Although Liam would be a lot of fun for the first hour, and then you go, okay, I've had enough of
Yeah,
that. I
for
mean,
sure.
but Liam cracks me up with his. He's. Do you realize, by the way? Do you know the ages of the two? Off top of your, I just looked it up, so I'm
I
cheating. I
I
just
would
looked up their
imagine
ages.
maybe like 61, 62, maybe.
Do you know what the age disparity or difference is between the
Oh,
two?
I have no clue. Is there? I thought they were close in age.
No, they're 6 years apart.
Are they really? Is Liam
Yeah,
younger
Noel.
than Noel?
Yeah,
Okay.
Noel's 58 and Liam is 52, but Liam
Oh,
feels like he's the alpha of the two,
absolutely. So,
oddly
wow.
enough.
So Liam's younger than you, a little bit older than me, not by much. We're probably about the
Mhm.
same age. That's crazy. I would have never thought that.
Yeah,
Okay.
58 and 52. All right, reunion, Smiths or Dire Straits?
I gotta.
Because neither are getting back together, by the way,
No,
ever.
no, and that's another one that too would probably be on should be on one of those lists we could go back to because we'll never ever get an opportunity to see it again. I got to go Smiths. I'm more of a fan
Yeah,
of Smiths, but God, I love Mark Knopfler.
yeah, yeah. He said definitively Dire Straits never getting back together.
Yeah.
Aretha or Marvin?
Oh, that now this is not. Come on,
That's not fair.
that is not. All right, I'm gonna do it. I love Marvin, but I'm going Aretha. Now I have to
Yeah.
predicate. I have to let's preface this with up to a certain point in their heyday,
Oh
saying
yeah.
that
Yeah.
if I have to listen to who's zooming who, then I'm fully Marvin Gaye. But if we're going back to
I,
classic Aretha, no doubt, I got to go. I got to go
yeah.
her because you got to think entertainment wise. You probably couldn't get much better than that on stage. She was just pure energy.
Yeah.
Her, like James Brown, there's just certain people on stage that just they could pick up a mic and it's like, oh my gosh.
Yeah. Well, she's hard to replicate. And I'm not saying you could replicate Marvin Gaye, but you could get closer. You could pick 5 or 10 other male soul singers in history
Right.
that you could go, there's no one like Aretha Franklin.
Nope.
No one.
No.
Okay. 2 final bonus ones. Nick Lowe or Graham Parker?
Ooh. Graham Parker.
Okay. Last, Birds or Eagles in terms of band?
I got to go Birds. Got to go Birds.
All right. Okay, you made it through another
So
one.
I have to apologize to Nick Lowe. I love Nick Lowe, but Graham Parker. Here's why. Graham Parker is way overlooked. I feel like people know the
Yeah.
brilliance of Nick Lowe as they should.
Yeah.
I don't feel like Graham Parker gets 1/100th the amount of respect he should get.
Right. Those early albums are
Oh
really,
my
really
gosh.
good. I mean, really good.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I agree. All right, we're gonna do now. We'll roll through our recommended if you like. So we're just gonna go back and forth. So it's not just Craig for his 10 and then me. We'll go back and forth on this. So we're taking the bands that we talked about last week,
Okay.
and we've got a recommended if you like. I think our approach is a little different, which I like.
Nice.
I think I probably went back into history more with some obscure artists, and you are more current, perhaps. It sounds like. I don't know any of the ones you're doing, but you want to go with your first one, and then I'll
Sure.
go?
What do you think about this? We were talking about this offline before. What if we do two at a time? I do two, you do two, and
Okay.
then this. Okay.
Okay.
All right. So I'm just going down the line of how we did this initially. So my first band was Led Zeppelin, one of my favorite bands of all time. Sean, I struggled with this a lot because you know what I'm going to pick. And I tried not to pick this band. It's impossible. I had to go Badlands. I had to go Badlands. Uh,
Love it.
and there's a couple of albums you can listen to. I honestly think their sophomore album Voodoo Highway is way underrated, but it's very bluesy. And you Voodoo Highway and the album art, you can see they're going in a bluesier route. And the don't obviously Led Zeppelin was steeped in blues, but I feel like the self-titled Badlands album, and from the very get-go, just listen to High Wire. And if you want to hear, to me, a I think Winter's Call, if you listen to that, that is like the perfect, it's the epitome of what Zeppelin was able to do with doing something really soft that build up to something really big and bold and stadium wise. They did the best job of sounding like Zeppelin but not aping them. Love that band.
Right.
Okay. Second for me was Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers. This one was there's way too many bands that I could have picked. But there was a band that I found during COVID when we were doing the Moonlight Mile thing on the Schizophrenic Music podcast. And remember when we were trading off, all of us would come up with a new band. And I had found this band called the Libras. And they have an album called Faded in 2021. Dude, it is so good. It is, to me, it's heartland rock the way Tom Petty would do it. And the key to it too is the guitar work. You know what Mike Campbell means to me. I think Mike Campbell he's top 5 guitarists for me, easy. I just love
Yeah.
his style. The guy that plays slide guitar on the Libras does a really good job of kind of articulating in the same way that Mike Campbell does. I think you would really enjoy that. So yeah, I'm going to go with that.
That's cool. I actually just bought Amazon Prime deal days, the Mike Campbell book that just came out. I got it for $2.99 on Kindle.
Oh, nice.
That'll probably be my next read. I'm finishing up an Allman Brothers book on my Kindle right now, and then the Mike Campbell book, because I know the Tom Petty story.
Right.
I don't know the Mike Campbell story. I don't know his side of it, and I can't wait to hear his side of it because he was so integral to those.
Yep.
Especially the early albums. My turn. U2 was my first band. I'm going super, super obscure here.
Okay.
You may have heard me talk about this band, but even if I did, you may not remember. There was a band that came out in the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s, out of Ireland, called Ghost of an American Airman.
I do remember you mentioning them. I don't know them offhand, but I remember you mentioning them. Yeah.
Yeah. They should have been the next U2. A lot of stuff happened and it never worked out, but their first album, really, really good. For anyone that likes U2, you really love that sound, check out Ghost of an American Airman. You can get it on Apple and Spotify. It's hard to find. You'll never see it in a record store. It's out there. Probably if you were in the UK, you could find it, but such a great, underrated band.
Cool.
My next one, the band, I'm going with a group that sounded to me a lot like the band that I listened to. This was also early 90s. They're from Canada, which is ironic because the band, a lot of people don't realize they're from Canada other than Levon Helm, right? The rest of the band was actually from Canada. But the band is Blue Rodeo. Do you remember them?
Yeah, love Blue Rodeo. That's a great pick.
Man, that album Casino was so good, and it sounded so much like the band to me, and it just gave you that warm and fuzzy. If you loved the band and then you listened to Blue Rodeo, you felt right at home.
They kind of got lumped into country to me inaccurately. They're not really a country band. They are a heartland band.
Absolutely, 100%. And if they'd been from America, they might have had a better shot at being a little more famous, perhaps.
Right.
I don't know if the Canada thing hurt them. I mean, there's a lot of there's so many great Canadian bands. We could have an entire podcast on that. Yep. I just wonder for that style of music, if that didn't hurt. If they'd been from Indiana or Illinois, I just feel like people would have thought about them differently. So, okay, back to you.
Good picks. Okay. Next two for me, and this one was probably the toughest one, surprisingly enough. Pink Floyd. I struggled so much to find one that didn't. There's so many bands that get compared to Pink Floyd, but I wanted somebody that I felt like could nail the space, the psychedelic aspect of it, but actually wrote good pop songs because that's really what Pink Floyd was known for. Now, my favorite albums are a little bit different from that. You know, like Fearless is a great pop song, but they explored a lot more. But the hits that you know, what people primarily know of Pink Floyd, they're just great. They were great songwriters. There is a band called 3 4 10s. It is three is spelled out, the number four, tens is spelled out, real kitschy. They had an album called Down the Way in 2007. I think it's their last album. It's one of those things I keep looking to see if they'll release something. I love that album so much, and it nails all the aspect of it. It's the spaciousness, the psychedelicness, the vocal capabilities on two different vocalists. I think that'll jockey back and it's such a great record. Every time I go back to it, I hear what you would hear off maybe a combination of "Wish You Were Here" and a little bit of Dark Side. So that era of Pink Floyd, great stuff. Fleetwood Mac. This one was a no-brainer. There were several bands that I could come up with, and I'm trying to kind of nail. Yeah, I'm trying to get the harmonies of Nix and McVie and how they traded off. I'm not negating anything that Lindsey Buckingham did vocally, but I'm trying to find those vocals and the pop sensibility. They just wrote great pop songs, fantastic pop songs. You ever heard of a band called First Aid Kit?
Never.
They have an album. They're still around, but they had an album called Ruins in 2018 that to me just totally nails it, but it sounds modern. It doesn't sound. The thing about Fleetwood Mac is even their albums in the 80s and 90s still sounded like they were from the 70s. They always just sounded
Yeah.
like a 70s band. This
Yeah.
definitely sounds modern, but it has that element. So if you wanted to kind of wean yourself towards a more modern kind of alt rock or indie rock, this is perfect for a Fleetwood Mac. So yeah, First Aid Kit, Ruins, and that was released in 2018. But they do have more recent stuff too. So great band.
Well, okay. Need to check them out. Back to me. Van Halen. I struggled with this one. I struggled with the most. So I'm going to cheat a little bit here because I'm going to give you my initial thought, but then I just had a better one. But they're both good comparisons. I mean, there's no one like Van Halen.
Nope.
It's just impossible. I racked my brain to think of who else is like Van Halen. Because if I had Rat on here or Motley Crue, and that's not diminishing them, but I could draw a better comparison. It's really hard to come up with someone who had especially in the early days, a lead singer, lead frontman like David Lee Roth, and the
Yep.
guitar play of Eddie Van Halen, but still the fun in the sun, California rock. It's just hard to come up with. But one band that I feel like if you enjoyed early Van Halen, it's random, but there was a band, Kick Axe, that had this one album, Vices, that came out at, I don't know, 1983 or 1984. And I'm not saying they sound alike, but if you like early Van Halen, it's just got that feel good, On the Road to Rock, All the Right Moves, those songs. They were just such simple but great sing-along type hard rock songs.
Yeah.
You like them?
Yeah.
I know Kevin has to love them.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great album. We've talked about that before. Plus, you got to love the name.
Kick Ass.
Kick Ass.
Yeah, I mean, that's great. But the other band that I would say, because I'm thinking about with our audience, especially with some of the younger listeners, the other band that you can't dismiss if you really like Van Halen is Montrose.
Oh, yeah.
Because Sammy Hagar was the lead singer.
Yep.
And a lot of people don't realize that, but Hagar, way before Van Halen and even way before his solo stuff, he was a very young lead singer for a guy named Ronnie Montrose who was a great guitar player.
Yep.
They had a killer band. And that first record with Bad Motor Scooter, that's a great album. And if you love the later Van Halen stuff with Sammy Hagar, that's a record to check out and a band to check out when Sammy was a part of that.
Killer. Love it.
Next up for me, Cheap Trick. I mean, there's 1,000 bands, but the one I want to spotlight that I really love because I wanted to go a little bit obscure is the band Mayflies USA. You've heard me talk about them before.
Yep.
The album they did, Walking in a Straight Line, and they just got back together. They just did a reunion. They got a new album out. I haven't really listened to it yet. I need to go listen to it. I want to see them live. But Mayflies USA, that record, Walking in a Straight Line, is such a great power pop record. Love that.
Yep.
One of my favorite power pop records ever.
Very nice. Yeah, I went and listened to that here recently because you mentioned that on one of the recent podcasts. So I went back and listened to that album. It's great.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Next up for me, Metallica. I actually tried to cheat with Metallica because I tried and tried and tried to find something that filled that vibe, and it was either too soft or too heavy. I couldn't find. That's the thing about Metallica is Metallica kind of nails really hard heavy metal, but they've got strong pop sensibilities too. Even their new stuff, there's always a hook. So I went with a favorite. I went with a band that I don't think they're in. I don't think they're in Savannah anymore. At one point, they were based out of Savannah, but I've been a big fan of this band for a while. It's a band called Baroness.
Mm-hmm.
I love Baroness. I love this band. And I feel like they strike all the notes, all the chords, not literally, but they hit all the marks that you would get from a Metallica. They can play an arena and they can just absolutely captivate you. A good bit more progressive than Metallica. And sometimes it sounds almost like a little bit meaner or angrier. But at other times, it's far more beautiful. This band is so underrated. I would say the album too. If I'm going to go with an album, I'd go with their most recent album and then move backwards. They put out an album in 2023 called Stone. It's excellent, and just move your way backwards because they get heavier. Their earlier stuff gets heavier. Like I said, they progressed quite a bit, but I think that's a good comparison. Jimi Hendrix. I have a friend. We both have a friend that's going to love my selection here. Jimi Hendrix was tough too because I didn't want just some guy that's wailing on a guitar, and I didn't want somebody that's just blues because Jimmy could do blues, he could do rock, he could do soul, he did it all, and he just kind of mashed it all up together. And you know who I think does a really good job of that is a guy by the name of Fantastic Negrito. You familiar?
Okay. No.
Okay, so Kevin has been an advocate of this guy since his first album, and that's what I'm going to go with. His first album is called "The Last Days of Oakland" from I think it's 2016. Dude, this guy's amazing. He's just absolutely incredible. He has so much energy, so much soul. He's got a great voice. He can wail on the guitar when he wants to, but he gets real soulful. He even raps at moments with some of his more recent albums. He's bluesy. I mean, I've seen him categorized as blues, indie rock, soul, hip hop. I mean, the guy does it all. But he's got that energy, and you can just tell the guy doesn't have to try to be cool. He doesn't have to try to play the guitar. He doesn't have to try to sing. He just gets up there and does his thing. So,
Yeah.
Kevin, you're welcome.
I love it. That's awesome. Okay, Eagles were next for me. This one was pretty easy for me. I could have gone a lot of different directions, but I feel like this band doesn't get the respect that they deserve. I used to listen to them a lot. I
Okay.
haven't. It's been a while, but the band is Poco.
Oh,
They're
wow. Okay.
really great country rock band. So just in general, for people that love listening to the Eagles, go check out Poco. And there was a lot of mixing there because Timothy B. Schmidt was a part of them, then went to the Eagles. So they had so many similarities. And I just think Poco is one of the most underrated bands of the 70s.
I agree.
Then for me, Van Morrison, oh my gosh, I struggled. And what I came up with here, because I could have gone Irish, some Irish singer band, but I thought more about just the feel of how Van Morrison makes me feel, whether it's an upbeat song or a slower down tempo song. And the band, and I've seen this band live. I know you love them too. They just, I don't know why they're not more well known as Vetiver. There's just
Oh,
something about they put me in the same kind of mood as classic Van Morrison. Just I always feel so at ease when I'm listening to Vetiver. I love them so much.
Vetiver, ask Kevin. Vetiver is my beach music. I have
Yeah.
their last four records. I listen to Tight Knit. I listen to even the most recent one, Up on High. I listen to all those albums at the beach at night once the sun settles.
Yeah.
It's just he's one of my favorite artists. Period. So great
Agreed.
great
Love
pick.
them.
All
All right,
right,
back to you.
back to me. All right, my next one up is Aerosmith. This one was easy. This one was
Hmm.
so easy. This band nails it. If you do not know Dirty Honey, please, please,
Oh,
please check them out. Their debut album, just called Dirty Honey, I think it came out in 2021. Dude, they sound like a modern Aerosmith. It's so good, but his
yeah.
voice is different. His voice is very different. His stylistically, he's a very different vocalist. But I think the backbone of the band is just solid, solid hard rock, just killer stuff. All
Love
right.
it.
Bob Marley, this is the easiest one, bar none for me, because nobody knows any reggae other than Bob Marley for the most part. Most people, that's the only reggae artist they know. And rightfully
That's
so.
fair.
Bob Marley and the Wailers, amazing. So, what I went for here, there are a ton of bands that were their contemporaries or just came just after them that I could have listed, but I went with a band that I felt like sonically was close to the Wailers because that's the one thing I will give Bob Marley and the Wailers is their albums just sound incredible. They were recorded so well, and a lot of reggae wasn't. A lot of the roots reggae, it's just rougher sounding. I like it. I
Yeah.
like that aesthetic. But Israel Vibrations, the same song, which came out in '78, is not. It is just a well recorded album. And it's just got this beautiful, beautiful feel to it. They're speaking politically, they're speaking socially, they're doing stuff maybe a little bit more metaphorically. But at the same token, I just feel like it hits the mark just like Bob Marley does. So, Israel Vibration.
Awesome. Okay. Santana was next on my list. I really, really struggle with this because they're another band. I don't know. I mean, you could go with some type of comparison like a Los Lobos or someone, but I just thought that was too easy. But to me, Santana is one of those bands. Again, going with the feel, they feel they're a band that you hear outside a festival. The weather's good. Santana's playing. You got a great guitar player like Carlos. I came up with the only thing I could really come up with, or the first thing I came up with, was a band called Freddie Jones Band. Do you remember
Mm-hmm.
Freddie Jones Band?
Yep. Yep.
I love them. Their first two albums, Waiting for the Night and then the self-titled record, and these were 93, 94. There's just a feel to those albums that it's just good, happy music. They kind of got lumped into the jam band thing. They did take off on some solos, but they were just a good rock and roll band.
Right.
Just a lot of fun and nowhere near the talent of Carlos Santana. But there's something about, especially when I think about the song that I used, Everything's Coming Our Way. That's to me the kind of sound that Freddie Jones Band had.
Okay.
And then, so that one was a little tough for me. This one was pretty easy, talking about Bruce Springsteen. And this one is the obvious comparison, but I don't feel like enough people know about Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes.
No,
What about you?
I love them. I love them.
Oh my
I learned
gosh.
about them in the early '90s when I first started managing record stores. Yeah.
Those early records, and they all had Bruce's thumbprint all over them.
Mm-hmm.
Little Stevie was on the records, he produced. Springsteen contributed songs to them. They had an album called Hearts of Stone. That is one of the best albums of the 70s. People go back and listen. If you like Bruce Springsteen and you like that sound, I'm telling you, Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes, and then I think it was shortened to Southside Johnny and the Jukes, and then Southside Johnny. But it's that New Jersey. I think they were from the same area.
Oh, okay.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
So good. And that record is close to a 10. It's a 9 or a
I'll
9.5.
check that
Really
out.
good.
I was introduced to them, like I said, by one of the guys that I managed way back when, and I was surprised. He played stuff, and I liked it, but I never really dove in. So thanks for the reminder.
Yeah. Yeah, they had another record just before Hearts of Stone, 1977, called This Time It's For Real. Also very good. The horns, just the music and the feel of it. You love Springsteen, you'll love it.
Awesome. Good recommendations. All right, we'll cap things off the last two here. And the first of which, I honestly, Shawn, thought this was going to be the hardest one, David Bowie.
Ooh,
Because how many different musical identities did David Bowie ever come up? I mean, seriously, he reinvented himself probably 20 times.
yeah.
Just brilliant. But I stumbled upon one very quickly that I felt like nailed a good bit of it. Have you ever heard of a band called Foxygen?
I have. I don't think I've ever listened to any of it, unless it's just been in the background. I've never actively listened to them.
So I've got, I think, two or three of their albums. I'm not sure. This is going to make me go back and kind of dive back into their catalog. But their most recent album, which was released, I don't know, I guess it's their most recent album, was released probably 3 or 4 years ago, is called Seeing Other People. Um, and I thought of a song that I was like, man, this is kind of perfect for Bowie because it's not all that dissimilar from what he was doing with Ziggy Stardust and with um, even some of the stuff he did. I know it's a covers album, but even some of the stuff and how he portrayed his interpretations on pinups, I just felt like that's kind of the sound that they went for. But then when it went to the next song, as I started listening to the album, I'm like, man, their influence is definitely there, but they've got their own thing. So I feel like that's something that doesn't sound a lot like it, but there's just
Yeah.
something there. There's a good connective tissue for me, at least. So yeah, Foxygen I think is a good recommended if you like Bowie. And then the last one, dude, Depeche Mode. Synth pop has been one of those things that's been so popular, even now, still popular in indie rock for the last 10, 15 years. So, I mean, man, you could throw, a number of those bands, put them in a hat and I pick one out and I probably would nail it. But I found a band, stumble upon them. It was recommended if you liked two other bands that I was thinking about. There's a band called Drab Majesty, and they have an album
Hmm.
called Modern Mirror that was released, same thing, 2019. Dude, it is like it nails the ethereal side that Depeche Mode got with Music for the Masses and Violator, but it also hits. There are moments where it's just because that's the thing about Depeche Mode is it's not, they were hard to pin down. They got moody. They got really moody. But there was always really a cool groove behind it. Everything was bass driven and synth driven, and it constantly drove even when it wasn't that upbeat. And that's what this band does. They just absolutely nail it. So it's the first thing I thought when I listened to it. I was like, this is perfect, even though I've got probably a dozen other bands that I own already. I explored and I found this, and I go, this is perfect. So
That's great. Yeah, I mean, this is fun because we're not necessarily saying, hey, we're nailing this with an exact replica.
right,
It's just more of that sort of you. It's the same as if somebody tells me they love, I don't know, Iron Maiden. I might say, oh, you should check out Anthrax. They don't sound anything alike, but
right,
if you like that, you probably like that,
yeah,
right?
absolutely,
And that leads into my last two, which it was so tough for both of these because there's no one like these guys that I could come up with. But John Mellencamp, which
mm.
there's John Cougar, there's John Cougar Mellencamp, John Mellencamp. And by the way, I was actually saying to someone the other day, I'm the biggest fan of his John Cougar Mellencamp era was the best.
Yeah, I think so
John
too.
Cougar was more raw. He was more of a pop star kind of thing. But then the John Cougar Mellencamp is when he really started to find his roots
Right.
and really started making great records. I really struggled with a direct comparison, but I've been for a while now, a big kick with Jim Sullivan. I love
Oh,
Jim Sullivan.
yes.
And so many people don't know him, and then when they hear it, they go, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" And they're nothing alike. Don't get me wrong, Mellencamp, Jim Sullivan, but they're just great songwriters.
Mm-hmm.
And such a tragedy of he releases 2 albums and then he disappears and no one ever solves the case.
Yeah.
And just something about Jim Sullivan and his songs that I just love. And then for Bob Dylan, it was really tough as well. There's probably some easy comparisons I could make, but for me, if you like Bob Dylan, you really should check out the early Freddie Johnston records. I know I've tooted his horn before. I love Freddie Johnston. He's such a great songwriter, and his words, just like with Dylan, just I listen to his albums and I'm listening to what he says, the stories he's telling. And for
Right.
me, Freddie Johnston's just one of the best storytellers. He's got the one song called Western Skies, which is about a pilot's son who won't fly, and he drives everywhere. And
Right.
it's just such a great song because his dad died in a plane crash, whatever. It's just such a great song, and it's just so visual, just like a lot of Bob Dylan songs.
Cool.
All
Okay.
right, so we did it. That was fun. It made me really think. I had to
Oh,
really think about that.
absolutely. It was a lot harder than I thought it would be, too.
A
Maybe I
lot harder than I.
overthought some of it, and I did try to make correlations that maybe sound wise would be similar. Sometimes it's just a vibe, though. Sometimes it's
Yeah,
just simply they give off this vibe, they make you feel a certain way, and hopefully these bands that we recommended to people have that same essence.
that's right. Yeah, I didn't want any of them to be too easy. I didn't want to say, oh, if you like Van Morrison, you should check out the Waterboys,
Right.
because they they covered Van Morrison songs. They're from Ireland, whatever.
Yeah.
That was too easy.
Right.
And same with you and some of yours as well. All right. Well, this is another fun, awesome episode. I don't know what we're going to do next week. We're going to talk about that
Yeah.
offline. Figure
You know
out.
what we could do is we have not done the uncut list in quite some time.
We
You want to
haven't.
do a deep dive into that? Maybe do 20 of those? We might could do that.
Let's do it.
Yeah,
Yeah, let's do it.
that list has been sitting dormant for a while. Let's hit that up.
It has. We got to check some more off the list. We have to finish it at some point, at least the top 250.
That's what I said. Let's do 20. Heck,
Let's do 20.
Let's do 30 if we can do it. But yeah, we'll do at least.
I mean, yeah, because we could fly through it and do our next, as we have found on some of them. So we probably will fly through it pretty fast. Yeah, let's go.
If
We'll
Pram has
go
another
for
record, we'll be definitely doing another next.
Man, if Pram has another record, first of all, I'm going to have to pick myself up off the floor and get back up in front of the camera and microphone. But yeah, I doubt it. I bet that's it for Pram. I don't know what their catalog. I don't know if they at least did 2 albums because Uncut rated them, the first or 2 of them. I don't know if they had other records, but if they have another one in the top 500, I will be shocked.
Yep.
But we'll see. That's a reason people need to come back and listen.
Absolutely.
See if we have some more Pram sightings. All right, man. Well,
right.
Hey, thanks everybody for listening.
Yep.
Send us your comments, send us your suggestions, and we will maybe do something with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Revinylpodcast@gmail.com.
Love it. Take care, everybody.